Very good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV this Friday morning. I'm Ashwarya with you. Let us start the Breakfast News with the headlines. World economy lost $1 trillion to terrorism, says Prime Minister Modi at the plenary session of BRICS Summit in Brazil. Hopes member nations will boost security cooperation to fight the menace. BRICS nations are pledged to increase cooperation for trade and investment. Prime Minister Modi stresses on roadmap to meet $500 billion infra-BRICS trade target by 2020. Supply of S-400 missile defense systems to India on track, asserts President Vladimir Putin in Brazil. Deal worth 40,000 crore rupees for 5 S-400 systems was signed in October last year. First system to be delivered by next year. With 16 more candidates, BJP has so far announced 69 candidates for Jharkhand Assembly elections. JMM also names 15 candidates, polling for 81 seats in 5 phases to start on 30th of November. And Delhi air quality remains in severe plus category, reaches a 500 mark on AQI scale. Supreme Court to take final decision on extending a road rationing odd-even scheme today. After a very productive visit to Brazil, Prime Minister Narendra Modi emplaned for New Delhi last night. In a tweet before his departure, the Prime Minister said that BRIC member nations had fruitful dialogues on cementing ties in trade, innovation, technology and culture. And the focus on futuristic subjects will lead to deeper cooperation that will benefit the people of the BRICS nations. And earlier, addressing the plenary session of the BRICS Summit, Prime Minister Modi stressed on strengthening cooperation among the BRICS nations for innovation.
इनोवेशन हमारे विकास का आधार बन चुका है, इसलिए आवश्यक है कि हम इनोवेशन के लिए ब्रिक्स के अंतर्गत सहयोग मजबूत करें। ब्राजील ने स्वयं इनोवेशन और व्यावहारिक सहयोग के लिए कई सफल कदम उठाए हैं। आने वाले वर्षों में भी ब्राजील के इनिशिएटिव पर हमें कार्यरत रहना चाहिए। एक्सेलेंसीज, 10 वर्ष पहले वित्तीय संकट और कई आर्थिक समस्याओं के समय ब्रिक्स की शुरुआत हुई थी। 2009 में येकातेरिन बर्ग से शुरू हुई यात्रा कई उल्लेखनीय पड़ाव पर कर चुकी है। इन वर्षों में ब्रिक्स देश वैश्विक आर्थिक वृद्धि के प्रमुख इंजन रहे हैं और पूरी मानवता के विकास में हमारा योगदान रहा है। साथ ही शांतिपूर्ण, समृद्ध और मल्टीपोलर विश्व के प्रमुख कारक के रूप में हम उभरे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also said that sustainable water management and sanitation are important challenges in urban areas, and he proposed a meeting of BRICS water ministers in India to review the matter.
हमें आपसी व्यापार और निवेश पर विशेष ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। इंट्रा ब्रिक्स व्यापार विश्व व्यापार का सिर्फ 15% है, जबकि हमारी सम्मिलित आबादी दुनिया की आबादी की 40% से भी ज़्यादा है। पांचों देशों में सर्विस सेक्टर जीडीपी का बड़ा हिस्सा है, इसलिए सर्विसेज में व्यापार को बढ़ाने की अच्छी संभावनाएं हैं। इंट्रा ब्रिक्स ट्रेड की लागत को भी कम करना जरूरी है। हमारे ट्रेड मंत्री इसे 5% कम करने के लक्ष्य पर विचार कर सकते हैं। ब्रिक्स में इनोवेशंस, इकोसिस्टम और टेक्नोलॉजी में उद्यमिता को बढ़ावा देंगे। ब्रिक्स स्टार्टअप चैलेंज को और हैकेथॉन भी इस उद्देश्य में सहायक होंगे।
Prime Minister Modi also urged for the early opening of the new development bank's regional office in India and offered a full backing to the multilateral finance institution in promoting global growth. He called upon the BRICS nations to unite against the menace of terrorism.
जैसे खतरों से
मानवता दूर आई है, लेकिन विकास और सुख शांति के लिए आतंकवाद सबसे बड़े खतरे के रूप में उभरा है। 10 सालों में आतंकवाद के हाथों 2.25 लाख जीवन मिटे और समाज को गहरी क्षति हुई। इसके अलावा विभिन्न अनुमानों के अनुसार $1 ट्रिलियन से ज्यादा का नुकसान विश्व की अर्थव्यवस्था को हुआ और विकासशील देशों की इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को 1.5% तक को उसने कम किया है। आतंकवाद, टेररिज्म फाइनेंसिंग, ड्रग ट्रैफिकिंग और ऑर्गेनाइज क्राइम से बना संशय का वातावरण व्यवसाय और व्यापार को गहरा अप्रत्यक्ष नुकसान पहुंचाता है।
And our colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us from the newsroom for more updates on that story. A very good morning, Akhilesh. Cooperation on counter-terrorism operations, trade and investment. PM also calling upon a roadmap to achieve the $500 billion trade between the member nations by 2020. How do you look at the outcome of the 11th BRICS summit?
I can tell you that outcome is more than expected. Why I am telling this? Because, BRICS summit is taking place in the backdrop of failure of RCP to accommodate India's concern and also Chinese behavior on abrogation of Article 370 in India. So, I think this was the backdrop in which BRICS was organized, BRICS summit. And everyone was apprehensive about the result, but what the result came, it is really very fruitful and very positive. The leaders talked in a very positive and futuristic manner. And just I can give you a glimpse of how China-India talks before the BRICS summit took place, and then India and China, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping decided to expedite the meeting, early meeting of high-level mechanism on trade, so that they can address each other's concern as far as trade is concerned. So, it was in the backdrop of RCP. So, this was the mechanism. The second thing with Russian President Vladimir Putin, that he actually both countries decided to work in third countries to make nuclear reactors. So, this is also one of the major recognitions by Russia and in turn the whole world that India can make a nuclear reactor on its own. So, India and Russia will make nuclear reactors in third country. This is a major thing that has happened with Russia in that way, other than S-400 that Russia told. And the third thing with Brazil, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, recognized Brazil's achievement in agriculture equipments and post-harvesting equipments, and Prime Minister requested Brazilian President to send those technologies and export those items to India. So, I think this will also give growth to trade between the two countries, and if you see in the backdrop of pollution in Delhi, it will be one of the major contributions that how post-harvesting mechanic is absent in India.
Yes.
Now, if you come on the multilateral BRICS thing, Prime Minister Narendra Modi intervened very positively and he made many constructive suggestions about how BRICS, intra-BRICS cooperation can be increased. And when he is talking about the increase of trade and decrease of taxation among the BRICS nations, customs among the BRICS nations, I think he is very positive that how BRICS can cooperate given the fact that every country of BRICS have some specialization. Like in India, you have very good service industry, we have very good pharma industry, we are very good in hospitality industry,
yes.
We have skilled labor also, and we have a large human resource population. Chinese have a mastery in production and manufacturing. Russians have also mastery in many things. So, I think he requested all the BRICS countries to come together to create a situation when both can complement and supplement each other.
Yes.
In an age when everyone is feeling the pinch of customer disinterest in buying things. So, I think this is one of the major things, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi made many suggestions that you can see in the joint statement that came at the end of our BRICS summit, including the issue of terrorism.
Yes.
And there are 3 paras written on the issue of terrorism, including the FATF. And when China agrees that FATF should be made more stronger, and countries who are violating the financial discipline as on the issue of money laundering,
yes.
I think it is very positive, and I think that BRICS summit was more than expected very positive. You know, as far as-
Absolutely. So, Prime Minister Modi also calling for intra-BRICS cooperation on several issues, including the issue of terrorism. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates on that story. And President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has said that Russia plans to deliver S-400 surface-to-air missile systems to India on schedule. Speaking to reporters on the sidelines of the BRICS summit, Putin said that the deal is going according to the plan. Remember, India had agreed to buy the S-400 system from Russia last year to bolster its defenses against China.
Что касается поставок С-400, то все идет по плану. Индийский коллега не просил здесь что-то ускорять. Все идет нормально. Индия 1 350 000 000, а может уже и больше населения. Это суверенное государство, которое дрожит. Мы будем развивать сотрудничество, в том числе и в сферах, которые считаются вооружением, основанным на высоких технологиях.
On to some other news now. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that India decided against signing the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, based on clear-eyed calculations of the gains and costs. Delivering the 4th Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture in New Delhi on Thursday, External Affairs Minister said that no pact was better than the bad agreement. He said that not signing the deal does not mean stepping back from the Act East policy. He said that India already has FTAs with 12 out of 15 RCEP partners. He added that India's Indo-Pacific approach was also going beyond the RCEP membership. After years of negotiations, India had pulled out of the China-backed mega RCEP, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying in Bangkok that the deal would have adverse impact on the lives and the livelihoods of all Indians.
The recent debate about the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, offers lessons in foreign policy as much as in the trade domain. On the one hand, we should not go back to the old dogmas of economic autarky and import substitution. But at the same time, embracing the new dogma of globalization without a cost-benefit analysis is equally dangerous. What we saw in Bangkok recently was a clear-eyed calculation of the gains and costs of entering a new arrangement. We negotiated till the very end, as indeed we should. But then, knowing what was on offer, we took a call. And that call was that no agreement at this time was better than a bad agreement.
News from the state of Jharkhand, and for the upcoming assembly polls in the state, the BJP announced 2 lists of 16 candidates on Thursday. And with this, the BJP has announced a total of 69 candidates. Among those who featured in the list of candidates declared on Thursday are the former left leader Aparna Sen Gupta and ex-Congress MLA Deo Kumar Dhan. The Jharkhand Mukti Morcha also announced its second list of 15 candidates, taking the total number of parties' nominees for the elections to 18. The JMM, the Congress and Lalu Prasad Yadav's Rashtriya Janata Dal had recently announced a pre-poll alliance in the state. Jharkhand, remember, will vote in 5 phases, with the first one on 30th of November and the last one on 20th of December. And the results will be declared on 23rd of December. News from Maharashtra. Leaders of the Congress, the NCP and Shiv Sena met for the first time on Thursday in order to work out a common minimum program before realizing a possible alliance for the government formation in Maharashtra. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar and Congress President Sonia Gandhi are likely to meet in Delhi later this week to deliberate on the issue. The meeting was attended by Maharashtra NCP Chief Jayant Patil, NCP leader Chhagan Bhujbal, Congress leaders Prithviraj Chavan and Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde.
बैठक में कॉमन मिनिमम प्रोग्राम पर चर्चा हुई है। चर्चा में मसूदा जो है वो ड्राफ्ट तैयार किया है और वो तीनों हमारे पक्ष श्रेष्ठी जो है उनके पास भेजा जाएगा। तीनों पक्ष श्रेष्ठी उस पर निर्णय लेंगे, फिर वो अंतिम होगा और बाद में उसके बाद अगली कार्रवाई शुरू हो जाएगी।
And the Election Commission on Thursday announced by-polls for 2 Rajya Sabha seats. One seat is from Uttar Pradesh and the other is from Karnataka. Notification for the polls will be issued on 25th of this month, and nominations can be filed till the 2nd of next month. Polling and the counting will be held on 12th of December. The seat in Uttar Pradesh was vacated by Samajwadi Party's Dr. Tazeen Fatima, and that is after her election to the UP Legislative Assembly in the recently held by-polls. While in Karnataka, the seat felt vacant as K.C. Ramamurthy of the Congress Party, who represented Karnataka in the upper house, recently joined the BJP. The BJP on Thursday nominated 13 of its 17 disqualified Congress and Janata Dal secular MLAs for the 5th of December by-polls. The MLAs were disqualified by the then Speaker K.R. Ramesh Kumar in July earlier this year under the anti-defection law after they tendered their resignation, which led to the collapse of the Congress-JDS coalition government in the state. The Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld the disqualification of the 17 MLAs but paved the way for them to contest the by-polls. 15 out of the 17 constituencies represented by these MLAs will be going for the assembly by-polls. And a day after the Supreme Court's verdict, 16 out of the 17 disqualified MLAs joined the BJP in Bengaluru in the presence of Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. The party has given tickets to 13 of these MLAs for the by-polls. On to some other news. Hitting out at holding assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir in the near future, Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu on Thursday said that the election process will begin soon. While speaking at the passing out parade in Talwara in Riyasi in Jammu division, he appreciated the role of police for bringing peace in Jammu and Kashmir and added that J&K police has a major role to play during the elections in the Union territory. And in another development, a retired IPS officer Farooq Khan and former bureaucrat K.K. Sharma have been appointed as the advisors to the Lieutenant Governor of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir.
केंद्र शासित प्रदेश है, इसके साथ लेजिस्लेचर भी है। ये नहीं मानना है कि इसी तरह चलेगा। यहाँ जल्द से जल्द चुनाव करने के लिए प्रक्रिया भी आएगा और उसमें भी आप लोगों का भूमिका रहेगा। इसीलिए आज फिर से आप लोगों को ये याद दिलाता हूँ कि हम लोग जिसी तरह आपने अभी तक जो निभाया है, आप जो नया सारे जवान इसमें शामिल होंगे, अब भी इसमें बहुत सारे अहम भूमिका निभाएंगे।
President Ramnath Kovind has greeted the people of Jharkhand on the state's Foundation Day. In a tweet, he said that Jharkhand is a state with a rich natural and cultural heritage. He expressed hope for Jharkhand to touch new heights of progress. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also wished the people of Jharkhand on the Foundation Day. He said in a tweet that Jharkhand is synonymous with bravery and compassion, and the people of this land have always lived in harmony with the nature. Jharkhand was established on 15th of November 2000 as the 28th state by the Bihar Reorganization Act. News from Delhi NCR, and Delhi continues to be in the grip of alarming levels of pollution with no relief from the dense smog enveloping the national capital. The air quality index in Delhi remains in severe category, inching closer to the emergency category. According to the Pollution Control Board's AQI data, both major pollutants PM 2.5 and PM 10 were at a 500 level at the Lodi Road area. And weather experts say that the influence of a weather disturbance causing a dense cloud cover and a dip in wind speed is leading to the worsening of the situation. However, wind speed is predicted to pick up on Saturday, which could gradually clear the weather. And our special segment on environment and climate change. India kicks off a $43 million project to boost climate resilience in 3 coastal states in partnership with the UNDP. This project, funded by the Green Climate Fund, is likely to impact over 10 million people living on the coastlines. The Indian government will give additional $86.8 million towards the project to mainstream and accelerate the impacts of the Green Climate Fund grant. According to UNDP, this 6-year project will build climate-resilient livelihoods for 1.7 million people in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Odisha. It will offset 3.5 million tons of carbon and protect vulnerable ecosystems while improving shoreline protection. Project activities will focus on restoration and conservation of about 15,000 hectares of mangroves, coral reefs, as well as seagrasses and also marine life. It will also build local knowledge of climate change and associated risks via training and public education programs. On to some international news now. The Italian government has declared a state of emergency in Venice as the city was hit by floods. More than 80% of the city was underwater during the highest tide in more than 50 years. The floodwaters surged through churches, shops and homes, causing millions of euros worth of damage to the UNESCO World Heritage City. The Italian government has released 20 million euros for the devastated city. Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte described the flooding as a blow to the heart of our country. Authorities are assessing the extent of the damage to Venice's cultural treasures, such as the St. Mark's Basilica, where water invaded the crypt. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.